Okay, so today on the Cento Leadership podcast, I've got Angie Barnes, who's Chief Revenue Officer for Everlon, and also an author of Tales of Impatient Sales Lady, book soon to come out, and I think it'll be obviously a number one bestseller on Amazon. I'm sure it is. We're going to focus on, Angie's going to give us her views on how, as a salesperson, you can set yourself up for success in 2026.
I love it.
What's your key points, your key takeaways, Angie, for people that want to be successful?
Yeah, no, I love it, Brett. And first of all, thank you for having me. I just adore you. You're awesome, and I find
Thank
it a
you.
privilege to spend any time with you. So, on the sales side, this is when my teams, what we would be hitting that end of year grind, right? Trying to finish strong, hit our numbers for the year, but at the same time, like you said, you want to be creating the foundation for 2026. So you and I were laughing about your amazing signed jersey, and you're going to have to tell the story as soon as I'm done with this. But it was so perfect because, down here in Tennessee where I live, Brett, SEC football is everything, right?
Yep.
So, but the biggest thing about football is you got to train and you got to practice before you ever get on, the field. And so for a lot of salespeople, some of the things that I would really be focusing on the leadership side is first of all, practice, right? Walking
Yeah.
through some of the discovery processes, doing some role playing, what are the targets, making sure you've defined your list going into 2026. And alongside that, right, as you're doing some of the role playing and you're going through one of my favorite topics I love to talk about is pains, gains, and claims, right? Where you're really understanding how I call it, Brett, the power of the second question, right?
Yeah.
That a lot of times in sales, we'll ask a person a question and then they answer it. And then we're like, on to our next question versus taking what their answer was and following that down for the good stuff, right? Whatever that is. But some of that just takes practice. Sometimes you got to just role play and keep working on it to understand how to walk through that. So I would take some of this time to also really practice, focus. At the same time, I would also, Brett, talk about your foundation of your goals and your KPIs. What do you want to accomplish in 2026? There'll be personal goals, right, as a
Yeah.
salesperson, and there'll
Absolutely.
be
Yeah.
company goals. So, we used to say what measures matters. So if you don't measure it, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah. It
those
doesn't
are
matter.
those are some of my ideas on that side, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, from our point of view, we look at what you want to achieve for next year, and then obviously take that from the end goal and work the whole thing backwards. And you just say that can be your business goals, your sales goals, your sales targets, as well as personal goals. And we
Yes.
do a little bit of work with people here on that, before we close out the year, because this is it's what they call silly season over here anyway. I mean, it's one of those situations where everybody's busy, but it's also very slow progress. And the closer you get towards Christmas, the quieter it gets. So it's an ideal time to reflect on this year, but also look at your goals and everything for next year, and then start to map out who you're going to target. And thank you for mentioning the shirt. So
Yeah.
that's
No, I
that's
that.
our
Yeah.
football, not your football, of
I love
course. There's
that.
two different things.
Yeah. No,
But yeah, Nottingham
so tell
Forest.
tell everybody about it. Yeah. Tell about your
Yeah,
jersey.
so this is the promotion team that went from the Championship in the English Football League to the Premiership, 2021-2022 season. So it's a signed shirt. Um, Very nearly became the signed shirt of the team that got promoted and then quickly came back down. But they managed to hang in there, albeit this season's been a bit of a difficult ride as well. But yeah, it's an interesting journey with football, and again, that's the same across the world, isn't it? So
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, and that's what we talk about, preparing for 2026. In my mind too, you train and then actually get on the field, right? And so I
yeah,
think the other thing I think a lot of salespeople, Brett, I don't know if you feel the same way. We get a ton of momentum, we get everything down to about the 5 yard line, and then we stop. And then we're
yes,
like, okay, I got things, but we get distracted. And I think the biggest thing that a lot of salespeople can work on and sharpen their skills is their closing. the techniques and how they follow it to the end, right? We get, again, it's just close it out. And again, a lot of things look like they're not going to close sometimes, but you got to stay on them until you've given it, basically, in my mind, we just talked about this yesterday as a team. You give it everything you can give,
Yeah,
right, to get it
100%.
closed. And for some reason, maybe they're not the right fit, whatever it is, but you give it all before you give up. It's like, being down there and really making sure you're giving it all your effort. And a lot of salespeople, I think, in 20, if I was prepping my team, is focus on closing skills, because a lot of salespeople struggle. They're great at the rapport,
Yes,
they're great at the attention, but the closing skills are a
it's
struggle.
exactly what I was going to say. I think that closing is a lost art. And it's also, I think that the amount of people that can actually close is becoming fewer. The amount of people that are comfortable closing is even smaller. And the amount of people that can are prepared to close gets reduced even more. And that's that. So from a sales perspective, people go into sales and they give themselves the title of a salesperson, or whatever they might be doing, account manager or whatever it might be. I've got a view on account management and sales, to be honest, but yeah. So people go into that world, but can they actually close? Can they ask? When I first went into sales, one of my boss's leaders at the time said, "Can you actually ask for the order?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the big differentiator, again, between success and failure with a lot of people, is being able to ask for the order.
Yeah, 100%. I always tell people, I don't know what it is, Brett, but I joke. I said, I was born a little bit with self confidence, and I don't know where it came from some days. But
Mhm.
I think you have to be prepared to get a no. You got to be prepared to get a no, and also that maybe the no's not really a no. Maybe it's, well, explain to me why you feel that way, and dig through it and understand it, and don't accept it out of the gate.
No.
And my biggest customer in my previous life was that small coffee company out of Seattle, and
Oh
I
yeah.
think they might be the largest. And I tell people they fired me 3 weeks, after we started doing some things. We did a test, and then they're like, and again, it wasn't a fire, but it was, hey, this didn't
Yeah.
work out. We love you, but it's not going to be. And then 2 weeks later, they called me and said, "Hey, can you do, for them, anything is big, right? Oh yeah, I could do, yeah, 100%." And today it's a $15 million customer for my previous
Yeah.
company. So, you don't give up. Sometimes it's a pause, not a no, right? So,
Absolutely. It's a not yet, is what we call
not
it. It's not
yet.
no, it's a
There
not
you
yet.
go. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, so taking from going from the closing part then to the opening part, the business development, the cold call, because again, that's something that a lot of people are adverse to doing, or scared of the cold call. And again, we explain to people here, it's not that difficult. It's just a phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I heard a great analogy on this one. I love Brett, and I'll give, there's a gentleman named Dan Katz at Brevo who told me this
Hmm.
story, and I loved it, because I believe, the biz dev part is also a cadence, right? There's
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
things, on how you do it. But he said the email is like taking a pickle jar and hitting it on the side of the cupboard, right? You always do
Yeah.
that to kind of loosen up the top, but the call is what undoes the top of the pickle jar, right?
Yeah.
So
It's a good analogy.
sometimes we get real super comfortable on the emails and this and that, but we forget just to pick up the phone. And the
Absolutely.
combination of the two is very strong. And then you and I both are big LinkedIn fans, and so I love LinkedIn, and I feel like I always try to be respectful and bring value. That was the other thing I've
Yeah.
always taught is, anytime you're texting or emailing me, or bring value. Hey, this was a great article. I read it about your company, or hey, this is this or that. Differentiate yourself by the value that you bring, whatever that
Yeah.
is.
Absolutely. And that brings me on to my next point then. So this is always an interesting and a discussion that can go on forever. AI is going to replace us all.
Mm,
Yeah. And
I, yeah.
What's your thoughts
Do you
on
think
that?
it? Do you really
If you,
think it is, Brett? So
no,
you really think it's going to?
100% not. No,
Yeah.
it'd be a tool that will help us, and we'll all have to adapt to using it. But no, it's not going to. It's not going to replace us at all. And I
No.
think that in recent history, we've been proven about the relationship. So I'm taking us back to the COVID times when everybody went into lockdown.
Yeah.
We wasn't allowed to meet. We wasn't allowed to circulate. We wasn't allowed to network and everything else. And that was the one thing that everybody was yearning for, is to get back out and socialize. And we're social people.
Agreed.
And again, coming back to sales is all about relationships. It's as simple as that. And
100%.
coming back to the email side, you can't sell via email. As you say, you can take the pickle jar and you can loosen the lid by tapping it on the side. And that is exactly, for me, where AI sits. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that can come up with an argument that would negate what I'm saying. But that's my personal viewpoint. I don't think you're ever going to replace a personal relationship.
You and I both. I'm 100% in agreement with you. I built my career on relationships. You have too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's. I spoke to a class at SMU about a month or two ago, and I said, build relationships now. Start. It's
yes,
your career capital. It's everything, right? It's the people that you are going to want to connect with 10 years from now, 15, whatever it is. But relationship building, and that's part of my silly book we were talking about, is I call it a relationship bridge. But you gotta
yeah,
build a bridge before you can cross it, right? So
absolutely. Yeah,
sometimes it takes that trust and building and the rapport, but you got to build the bridge, and sometimes you don't cross it for a long time. Sometimes it takes time.
it's an investment. And I think we live in a world of instant gratification. And,
Yes.
some people aren't prepared to do that investment piece, are they? To get them, you say, building a relationship bridge and investing the time and effort to get to where they need to be. And I think that, I forget where it was, I was either listening to or reading or something, and it was about the younger generation want the relationships that maybe a 50-year-old person has built up over their career, but they want them
Yeah.
at 22 or 23, and you're just simply not going to get it because you've not put, coming back to the football again, you've not put the 10,000 hours in, have you? That's that's
That's
that's
right.
the bottom line of it, really. It's
Yeah.
building those
Yeah.
relationships and building that network. And yes, there's tools like AI, there's LinkedIn and all that sort of things that will help you build that network. But FaceTime, without a doubt, and I mean that not just on video, but face to face time, is you can't beat it. It's without a doubt. That's from a sales perspective.
Oh,
Um,
100%. Yeah. Well, you and I were just, you and I come from the era too. We were just at ISC East together.
yeah,
And I mean, that's one of my favorite things, is going and meeting and talking to all the people I know. And there's not enough time in the day just to
no,
connect
there's
with
not.
people, right? And people that you have to also invest in people, I think, Brett, without expecting a return for that,
Yes,
right? Sometimes, you got to invest in people knowing that that's you're investing in people and those relationships for nothing in return, because it's just what we do, and it's a good thing to
yeah,
do, right? So,
absolutely. Yeah, the trade show, the conferences, and everything else. I view them like weddings. When you go to a wedding, there's so many people. You get to say hi to them, but you don't get any time to sit down and have a conversation.
so
It's,
true.
it's a very quick hi, how are you? Good to see you. And
Yeah.
it's a very, very similar thing. So, yeah. But yeah, we've obviously come to the end of the year. So we're waiting on the next year's event calendar. We're starting to, obviously, that's out there now. I'm already starting to plan, where I'll be going. So, yeah. But coming on to
Yeah.
your book then, The Tales of an Impatient Sales Lady. Tell us about that. Let's
Yeah.
get that in
No.
the Amazon top 10.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, it's very similar. We kind of go through what I kind of describe it as that book that, and you and I fly and travel quite a bit, that you can pick up and read
Yeah.
in one read. It just gives you some nuggets. I'm a big podcast listener. Thankfully, we're on a podcast, and so, but I always like to have a couple nuggets that are real easy for me
Yes.
to really use, right? And so, in the book, I've tried to just create some just simple nuggets on being, vulnerable, right? Being
Yeah.
real, how you do that in a sales setting, all those different tools and things that you could actually, once you read the book, go, oh, okay, I can use that. I can do that. Or, yeah, I didn't think about that. So I try to make the book very, I call it nugget oriented in the sense that you really have something tangible you can walk away. I'm definitely not a rocket science. I definitely am not a salesologist or anything. I've just lived it, right?
Yeah.
I've just
Yeah.
lived it. And so it's the things that I have found over my career that have been successful for me and my teams.
Good. When's it likely to be out?
I put the first four chapters online, and so I'm expecting to have it fully published hopefully this spring. So as soon as it comes out, I'm gonna send you that signed copy so
A
you
signed
can
copy. I look forward to that
you
without
can
a doubt.
add it to your bookshelf, Brett. So
Will do. I will do. I'll definitely read it without a doubt. And from jumping back onto the events and trade shows and everything else, what's your next event in the new year? Trade show. Obviously, ISC West is coming up at the end of March. That's the big one.
yeah, yeah. ISC West is a big one. We also do some partner events, that have different national meetings and things. But ISC West is always a great one. Now, I have to say, for years, ISC West was always the big dog, and ISC East was, kind of the
Yeah,
younger sister. But I was impressed with the content and the quality of ISC East this year, so that was
I
really
was.
good. We also do and sometimes we do the NRF Big Show. I don't think we're going to do that though. That's usually in January. That's the retail Big Show.
Yeah,
And so, and then we do a lot of work with Access cameras and
yeah.
also Hanwha and things. So we also do different smaller events that are vertical specific with them. So, but it's tough, you got to spend your marketing dollars wise. We're a small company,
Absolutely.
and we have to be very frugal on where we're going to get the most return for the money that we're spending. So,
Yeah, because you can spend a hell of a lot of money on these things.
yeah, I used to tease Brett. I had a nickname, Bougie Barnes. Well, it's now Bootstrap Barnes. It is
All
Bootstrap
right. That's a good one. Yeah, without a doubt. That is a good one. Well, look, anyway, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, it's been really interesting to chat to you again, as always.
We just need to get you over to Nashville sooner than that, and
Yes,
go hear some
I've,
country music.
I've not been there and I really do want to come over there. So we'll get that booked in.
You let me know. You let me know.
Excellent. I will do. All right.
All right.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Angie.
Thanks. Thanks, Brett.
Bye.